In this CBT Nugget, it's about the exchange management tools that we're going to need for not only this course, but for, well, working with Exchange. Now, stop. Stop where you're at before, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I don't need this video. I'm just going to move on. Don't do that. First of all, I've got a ton of tips and tricks. I've got some things that you may not have ever seen before that will help you manage Exchange. Now, whether you're looking at taking the 7342 test or you're doing this in real life, you need to know what options and what you need to know about these management tools. It's more than the graphical, and it's more than what you might think with just the Exchange Management Console. So I want to get you set up. We're going to be doing a lot of very advanced things, and what you get from this particular video is going to help you with all of the other ones as we add more and more to it. So you definitely don't want to miss this. Well, let's take a look at what we're going to take a look at. So the agenda for this video, well, we want to make sure we have the right tools for the job. And what I mean by the right tools is that we want to know how to use them best and when to use them best and what options we have. And this is where you might be surprised as I take you through this. I'm going to show you some of my own tips and tricks, and you may not be you have been aware of any of these capabilities that you may have, and it'll help you out quite a bit as you work with managing Exchange. We also need to know how to, well, use them. This is kind of the point to the entire course, is you're going to be using these tools quite a bit, and so we're going to, we want to make sure they're set up correctly, and we want to be really comfortable with them. Now, the tools that we're going to focus on, you and I, you already know. The Exchange Admin Center is, the graphical tool now in Exchange 2013. Now, it's a lot different. If you've worked with prior versions of Exchange, you know that there was a standalone graphical tool, a GUI. That's gone now. Now we have this web-based one, and we're going to go through that just to make sure you're comfortable with getting it all, set up and using it. And like I said, if you watch the Greg Shields videos on Exchange, which was all the deployment and setting it up and doing some Exchange management, you're already well comfortable with this, but we just want to make sure. Now, the other thing I want to do, and this is going to be the big part of this whole video, is the PowerShell side. Now, wait a minute. I know the Exchange Management Console, you already know that. You've got the Exchange Management Console. You know you have to run PowerShell commands. This isn't your first rodeo with Exchange. I mean, this is the advanced Exchange course, right? So you already know that you have to deal with PowerShell, but I need to make sure that you really do know how to deal with PowerShell. So I need you to do me a favor. In this course, we're going to be using PowerShell all the time. And I'm going to kind of make an assumption here, and I know that that's not a good thing to do, but I need you to already know how to use PowerShell, because I can't teach you all of PowerShell in 30 minutes, but I can certainly show you how to use it with Exchange and all of the different things that we're going to be doing in here, like with Exchange Online and all of that. So I need you to know actually core PowerShell. So do me a favor, if you're not quite fully comfortable, I mean fully comfortable with it, then go check out the Don Jones PowerShell series. Yeah? That'll fix you right up. That's all you have to do, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, well, I tell you what. Let's start off with the Exchange Admin Center, getting that guy, just showing you around real quick, making sure we're good with that. And then I have a tremendous amount of options for you on using PowerShell as your management tool. Well, here's the shortest part of the video. Using the Exchange Admin Center. I know you already know how to use this, so I'm going to launch it. And of course, I've got my own environment up and running that we had talked about at the beginning. And I'm going to bring up my browser now. A couple of things I want to show you. It's mainly about how I'm going to be doing this in the video series, but let's just, I'm going to go out, secured site, HTTPS, and I'm going to connect directly to one of my CAS boxes, CAS 1. And I want to use the Exchange Admin Center EAC, which I think is hilarious because what you want to type in is ECP. I know. I still find this to be one of the funniest things. That's okay. I'll shut up now. Anyways, I haven't changed out the certificates. This is a brand new install of Exchange 2013 with SP1, and so I'm just going to hit continue to website. You see the Exchange Admin Center. Now, if you're wondering why this is scrolling off my screen a little bit, it's because I zoomed in so that you could see things a little bit better. That's a good thing, and it's also going to cause us a problem here in a minute, and I want to show you what's going to be happening as we kind of work with this. First of all, here's the familiar Exchange Admin Center. We're going to be spending quite a bit of time in here once again. Things that you're already familiar with: recipients, permissions, compliancy management. And again, if you're not, check out Greg Shields' series on, you know, and I don't want to call it the basics. It's not the basics of Exchange Server. That's actually it starts you off at the beginning, but it actually gets very, very detailed. So make sure you check out Greg Shields' stuff. And then, you know, here we got our basic thing. What I want you to notice though, and this is going to be something I'm going to be flipping between. I just want you to see it right now. And this might happen to you in real life. This is a difficult screen sometimes to read because of the colors and the font sizes. And quite honestly, I'm getting older now, so it is a lot harder for me to read. So I oftentimes will go in and I'll zoom in. Well, when you zoom in, you're going to lose a couple of things. I want you to notice that, I don't know if you can tell, but not everything you think is listed here. And there's no way to really scroll up and down very well. It doesn't really let you move up and down. I'm missing categories because I zoomed in so I could see it. So what sometimes I'm going to have to do is zoom out. And in real life, you've got to do this too. Notice, oh wow, look at, remember, we were just seeing unified messaging. Now, I know watching this video, you have to squint your eyes, but servers, hybrid, tools, we're going to spend a lot of time in these areas in this course. So we've got to go to them. And then what I'll end up doing is, and I do this in real life too, I go back and I'm like, oh, that's too small for me to read. So let me zoom back in. And see, I'll zoom back into it so I can start to work with stuff across the top. Now, I know this may seem trivial, but this happens to a lot of us. So just keep in mind, I will be doing it throughout the series. I'll be zooming in and zooming out. And you may need to in real life. Just kind of remember you're going to lose some things down there at the bottom unless you zoom back out. Well, that was interesting. It flipped to an entirely different screen. Didn't mean to click on that. At any rate, it's going to zoom in and zoom out. So, well, that's good enough for right now for the ECP. And like I said, I'm going to do a lot of demonstrations right here in the ECP because graphically, sometimes it makes a lot more sense that way. But next, let's start to look at the PowerShell side. And we're going to start with our friend, the Exchange Management Console. So let's start off here with the Exchange Management Console. Now, you probably notice here on my Windows 8 box, it's actually Windows 8.1. I've already got it pinned here at the bottom. If you don't already have it pinned to your taskbar, you can, hit the Windows key and start typing the word Exchange. And there you go. The Exchange Management Shell, right click and say, pin to your taskbar. Oh, you don't have this? You don't have the Exchange Management Shell listed? Well, if you don't have it listed, remember, in order to have these management tools on your client machine, you have to install the Exchange Management Tools. Now to do that, you just simply put in your Exchange CD. Well, if you still have a CD, but if you've downloaded Exchange, you simply put in the source files, run the setup, and choose the management tools, and you'll get the management tools. And this is how I want to start this process. I want to assume for a minute. Okay, I'll stop saying the word assume. I want you to look at this from the perspective of having the Exchange Management Tools installed first. Because then we're going to do it without the tools installed. But let me show you. With the tools installed, you have the Exchange Management Console. You're probably very familiar with this. There's a couple of things I want to show you really quick. Now, first of all, in order to make things more readable, readable, legible, whatever, I changed the font size. I do this in real life, not just for these videos, but because my old eyes. So up here, you go into Properties. Please feel free to change your font size. Now, be careful as you change this font size. This window is going to scroll off to the right or to the bottom. So you want to make sure you go to Layout and you adjust the window width and height so that it fits on here, or information is going to be scrolling off to the right or below your screen and you're not going to see it. Now, one of the things about the Exchange Management Console that I always have to change, and I see guys that don't change this, guys and gals that don't change this, and they run into all kinds of issues. They can't scroll up and see their data. By default, with the Exchange Management Console, the screen buffer size, look at the height. It's 300. Well, 300 lines ain't enough. So this needs to be 3,000 or greater. I just usually go in and smack a 0 in there and I'm good. So I change that to 3,000, say OK. and life is good. And this is our traditional little Exchange Management Console. It's nice, it's pretty. They come up with you've seen it. They come up, use get ex command if you just want the Exchange commandlets. They have their own special things set up with this particular console, which is kind of nice. Now, just as an example, let me give you an example here. I'm going to clear the screen. And matter of fact, let me just kind of clear this up a little bit. First of all, they have their own little custom prompt that they put in, that the Microsoft team had set up for us. And you get things like get ex command. This is not ordinarily a PowerShell command. This is something you get in the Exchange Management Console. And this was there to help you to only list the Exchange commandlets. Now, some of you might be saying, but yeah, can't you do this in PowerShell where you say get command and then you specify the module? You have to remember that the Exchange team was the first team to fully implement PowerShell, and the concept of the modules and calling them up this way didn't exist when they made this. So they created their own way to do it. Well, this is one of the features of using the Exchange Management Console, is you get additions like this. You also get some custom variables that are in memory. And now let me just show you. I'm going to do ex. This is one of my favorite ones, ex install. Now I'm going to strike enter, and this is a variable that's going to tell you where the Exchange software is installed. Now, I just have the management tools installed, but this is where the location is, where that software is installed. Now, this is kind of interesting because I don't always want to use the Exchange Management Console. I actually like to use a PowerShell console, and I would like to have my Exchange commandlets in the PowerShell console. Well, you're saying, well, what's the big difference? Well, this one's blue and this one's not blue. That's the big difference. No, I'm just kidding. Is there a huge difference by me bringing the Exchange commandlets into here? Not really, and this isn't the whole point. But what if I wanted to have the Exchange commandlets available to me? Oh, hey, this is that ISE. What if I wanted to be able to write scripts and have all the Exchange commandlets available to me? Well, this is kind of interesting, is that they came up with a way to do this. Now, I'm going to show you, first of all, the way that you will see on the internet. This is one way to get the Exchange commandlets into a pretty blue PowerShell console. Now, I want you to notice, I'm just in Windows PowerShell. Here's the Management Console. The Exchange commandlets were implemented as a snap-in, and a snap-in looks like this. And there's a commandlet, and you probably already know it. Let's see, get ps snap-in. Now, if you just hit enter, this shows you the ones that you have currently loaded. I have the core PowerShell ones loaded. That happened for me automatically. What I'd really like to do is see the ones that are registered. In other words, the ones that are installed on my system. What you're going to see is a bunch of Exchange ones, yeah. Now, the only reason I have these is because I installed the management tools. If I hadn't installed the management tools, I wouldn't have these snap-ins. Now, what I could do is I could just load these snap-ins. And here's a great example. Add PS snap-in. And for a name, I'm just going to say star. I don't want to type out all those names, so I'm just going to say just load them. And what's going to happen is that snap-in got loaded. Well, watch. Get. Oh, hey, look, I've got get mailbox. And if I try to run it, now it's going to take it a second here because it's got to connect to a server, but it worked. Yeah, I know I don't have very many mailboxes. That's not the point, but it worked. It worked. See, I got the snap-in and it worked. So now I have Exchange commandlets in PowerShell. This is awesome. Well, not so much awesome. And here's why. Now, this isn't normally something that affects me or bothers me, but let me just point something out to you. Get ex command. Nope, doesn't exist. How about that $ex install, one of those special variables? Nope, doesn't exist. In other words, I got the commandlets, but I didn't get any of the special stuff. Now, is this a big deal? No, it's really not that big of a deal unless you need it. Now, I don't use ex command for discovery as an example, and if you've been working with PowerShell, especially if you watch the Don Jones stuff, when I want to find something, let's say I want to get or retrieve information about mailboxes and I want to discover the commandlets for it, I'm going to do get dash mailbox star, and that's how I discover things. And then I could look at the help file and I can figure out how to use them. I mean, that's the normal PowerShell thing. And that's what we normally do, because I don't work with just Exchange. I work with a ton of different products. So I don't really spend a lot of time using specialized commandlets for a product, or in the sense like get ex command, or specialized variables. But it might be an issue for you, and you might want to work with it, especially if you're scripting. Well, here's the cool part. There's a way to get all of the beautifulness of the Exchange Management Console in the ISE and in your own PowerShell console. And I want to say it's a trick, but it's really not, but it's something that very few people know about. So tell you what, hang on a second. We'll come right back and we'll set this all up. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get all of the features of the Exchange Management Console without using the Exchange Management Console. Now, first rule, you have to have the management tools installed locally. So you got to have the management tools installed. Just like I just showed you with the Snap-in, you got to have the tools installed. So here's the regular Exchange Management Console. I want to show you something, right from here, just like I was showing you before. Oh, see, he's connecting to one of my CAS boxes, CAS number 1. What I'm going to do is clear up this screen just a little bit. Remember, we had things like get ex command that you didn't get if you had loaded the Snap-in into a regular PowerShell console. We also had a variable like get ex install. And the reason I'm showing you this one is because I'm about to use it. So what I want to show you is, and like I said, this isn't really a trick so much as it's a feature that's been out there, but nobody seems to know about it. I'm going to change my directory location to where Exchange is installed. Program files, Microsoft Exchange Server v15. So I'm going to do cd space, and I'm just, rather than type it all in, I'm going to use this variable, and I want to go to the bin folder that's underneath. So, oh yeah, that was kind of cool, right? Yeah, I know, you're not that impressed. Here, let me clear the screen, and I want to show you something here. Underneath here, I'm going to do a dir. There is a file called remoteexchange.ps1. Now, this is not really a script for you to run so much as it's more of a module for you to load. A module, you say? Why, yes, I say a module. This could be rather interesting. Now, let me just kind of show you what this looks like first. I'm going to start the ISE, and we're going to look at that particular script. Now, what they've done in here is they've basically written, well, it's going to be a module for us. They've written this module, and let me maximize this. Don't let the code scare you, because we're not going to be going through all the code, so don't freak out. But what they've done is, this is how they start the Exchange Management Console. This is all the stuff that makes all of the good stuff, like get ex command and the special variables. So everything that you could possibly want from the Exchange Management Console is right here. It's right here. So all you have to do is use that. Oops, I flipped over. All you have to do is use this. Well, what do you mean use this? Well, let me show you. Let's make this real simple. Let's open up a PowerShell console. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. If you want your PowerShell console to be just like the Exchange Management Console, you could do this. You could run or import that module. It's actually a module, so I'm going to import the module. The name of the module is, and you have to put in that path. Now, of course, I'm going to show this to you. You're going to want to script this so that you don't have to do this, but I have some notes on that too, so I'll just type this in. Let's see here. So it's Exchange Server, and Exchange Server, it's v15. Oh, I love tab completion. It's helping me figure this out. It's bin, and then it's that remote PS1. This will import the module. Now, there's something else that we have to do after this. Okay, so I'm going to import the module. Ooh, it's already, look at that. It's already starting to look just like the Exchange thing, but we're not done yet. Do you remember that when you launch the Exchange Management Console, oh, I cleared it already off the screen, it connects to a server. That's how we start using the commands. So we need to connect to an Exchange server. We have a commandlet for that. So connect, I can't spell connect, Exchange server. There we go. Now there's a couple of options. One of them is auto. Now let me tell you what -auto as a parameter does. What this does is it tries to connect to, it finds and connects to all of your Exchange servers. And if you look this up on the web, this is usually what you're going to see. I'm intentionally going to show you this and show you why I have a tendency not to use it, although this is probably your best option. I want you to think about this. It's going to find all of your Exchange servers and connect to them. So regardless of the failure state that you may be in, it will find you a server and connect you. So like if you have DAGs and CASs in a load balance, which we're going to be talking a lot about in this course, you will get connected to a server. You don't have to know its name. That's the benefit to this. So don't lose the benefit, but I want to show you what I like to do for kind of expediency. So we connect to it, and also we have to tell it what client application we want to connect to, and that's a parameter called client application, and I want to go to the management shell. If I can type management shell, I'm going to strike enter. Now I want you to watch what's going to happen. It connected me to CAS1, which is what you saw when we had launched the Exchange Management Console. Oh, and he did a really good job. Okay, so he did it just fine. I didn't get the error messages I was expecting to get. Maybe we'll get them when I show it to you in the ISE. Because he connected to CAS1 and everything was good. What can happen is that sometimes either here in the shell or when we get to the ISE, I'll show it to you there, you can get error messages when it's trying to connect to servers that may be offline in your Exchange environment. In fact, I have two that are offline to generate that kind of error. Let's take a look at it in the ISE and I'll show you. Before we do, just one side note. Now you might be saying, well, okay, the difference between now this and the this version, what's the difference? Well, this one's black and this one's blue. That's what the difference is. At this point, and I mean literally, that's what the difference is. Look, get EX. I'll hit the I'll hit tab completion. Well, I probably should have typed in just a little bit more. There we go. See, we've got get EX command. It works. And now that we've done that, look, $EX install. See, all the variables work now. So it's exactly the same. And you might be going, okay, why would I waste my time doing that? Well, for the shell, you probably wouldn't. Here's why you would probably waste your time doing it. For this, what if you want to script and utilize stuff in the ISE, especially if you're scripting for automation and you want those Exchange commandlets? Here's where you'd want to have all of that stuff, including the variables and all of that that are special to Exchange. Well, let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to close this, and here's what I've done. I've actually taken the commands I just showed you and I put them into a script. And I'm going to show you this. Let me bring this up. So I've got a script here that imports the module. And see, I've typed it all in. There's the same thing we just had. And then connects to the Exchange server. Now I want you to notice that instead of using auto, I used server FQDN CAS1. In other words, I point it to the specific server I want to connect to. And I have a tendency to do this because I pick my nearest server in my own local site, that kind of thing, that I want to connect to. But remember, -auto works really well as well. So what I can do is this, is I have it in a script, I run it. Now the console here in the ISE, which by the way, most of us really do like this console in the ISE. I love the name of this, the GUI console. It's kind of like jumbo shrimp. Really like this GUI console because we get all of the IntelliSense and the syntax highlighting. So as soon as he connects, let me show this to you. And this is really why I like to use this script. Oh, there we go, there we go. Oh, CAS failed. Oh, I did CAS fail. Oh, enter the FQDN. I thought I had that in as CAS1. Oh, let's do it here. Failed to connect. You know, I told you I turned off a couple of servers. I wonder if CAS1 was one of the ones that I turned off. No, I don't think it was. We connected to that. Let's get him to connect here. And let's see. Come on, you can connect. While he's trying to connect, let me show you here oh, wait a minute, there he goes. Oh, let's see. Failed with the following error message. Oh, MBX2. Yeah, see, this is one of the servers that... So tell you what here, I'm going to fix this. Oh, wait a second, you just saw me. I'm going to power that server on real quick because my CASBox is tied to him. So let me power him on, and then this will work just fine. I know. Let's see here. So now this is a great indication that since I had the server, had I set it to auto, it would have worked just fine. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just run it so we can get to the point of this. So let's see, connecting CAS. Oh, there we go. It's all connected now. So now this is the cool part. Look, get EX. See, this is why a lot of us love to use the PowerShell console that's the graphical console inside of the ISE, because we get the IntelliSense. Also, when you're doing things like get mailbox, and you got this and identity. See how it's starting to color syntax everything? Administrator. So we love this kind of, that's one of the reasons to run that script. Also, you can now script. You can now automate with all of those tools. Did you know about this? Did you know about this module right here? I love this. This really makes my life so much easier because I use the ISE constantly. Oops, apparently I hit a key that's just gone bonkers. It's gone bonkers. Well, forget about him. It's okay, we're not going to save it. So this is why I like that script. But you know what? That script, first of all, gets on your machine because you installed the management tools. Everything we've done so far assumes you have the management tools. Whether you're going to use the Exchange Management Console or you're going to use PowerShell and you're going to run that script inside or import that module inside of PowerShell, or if you're going to use it in, my favorite, the ISE, either way, you have to have the management tools installed locally. Well, you know what? I'm kind of a busy guy traveling all over the place. What if you don't have those tools installed? What do you do then? Tell you what, come back in a second and I'll show you. So I'm sitting here at my Windows 8 box and I don't have the Exchange management tools and I need to manage Exchange. I don't also want to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes installing the Exchange management tools because I have a tendency to move from box to box. So I want to manage Exchange. And I just want to show you that I'm not cheating here. So let me kind of launch PowerShell here. And let me just get mailbox. Yep, see, it doesn't work. And I don't have the snap-ins. I don't have the module because I don't have the management tools. And so what do I do now? Actually, this is kind of interesting. Here, let me just get kind of a, don't worry. I'm launching Notepad for a reason. Let me just show you. So PowerShell has this feature which I hope you already know about. And so let me just kind of show you. Let's say I have, I got a, this is my Exchange server and here's my client. So just real quick, this is an Exchange server, or it could be any server running a product, like it could be a domain controller, it could be whatever. And here's my client. PowerShell has the ability, using PowerShell remoting, to do something called implicit remoting. Implicit remoting is the ability for me to connect a session to a server. And if it has a module or a series of commandlets that I want, I can import those commandlets over to my client. Now, I'm not installing the commandlets on my client. What I'm doing is really creating little, well, let's just call them shortcuts. I'm creating shortcuts to those commandlets. The commandlets are running over here. And I don't want to keep drawing on a screen and messing it up and making it look stupid, but the commandlets are running over here. That's the important thing. They're running where they would normally run the best. But it looks like I'm executing them over here. What do you need to be able to do this? Well, nothing. You do have to have PowerShell remoting enabled, which of course you do by now, right? Really, seriously, you do, right? So let me show you how to do this with the Exchange commandlets. And I'm going to show you how to manage this a couple of different ways, because this is kind of fun. So let me get rid of that, and let me get, come on, that was kind of neat. I used my little notepad to draw on. Okay, maybe not so neat. So let me clear the screen. And let me show you how to do this. I'm going to, of course, I'm going to show you how to script this, but let me just show you just right from the command line, because a lot of times I actually do it this way because I just bang up a PowerShell prompt. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it Exchange. And what I need to do is I need to create a session, a PowerShell remoting session to an Exchange server. So I'm going to pick one. So let's see. This variable is going to be equal to, and I'm going to do new PS. Whoa, getting way out of control with the S's there. New PS session. And what I want to connect to is a connection URI. And this is the server, the Exchange server that I want to connect to. And I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but did you guys notice that on your CAS boxes that you've got this virtual directory called PowerShell? So on, oops, what is it? Too many C's there. CAS1, I want to connect to the virtual directory PowerShell. That's what it's there for, is for us to do this with what I'm showing you right now. That's what it's there for. And the configuration, I need a configuration name. The configuration name that I'm going to want is Microsoft.Exchange. Now, what this does is this makes a session to that server. And as long as this session is open, then life is good. And keep that in mind. As long as this session is open, life is good. Now, this did not give me the commandlets yet. This didn't do anything besides build that session to Microsoft.Exchange on my CASBox. What I really now need to do is import this session. So I'm going to import PS session, and I'm going to use that variable EXCH. Could you do this all in one line? Yes, but why? I mean, it just makes it more confusing. So I'm going to import that. And what you're going to notice is, oh, look, implicitly remoting the module. And it's going to bring me over shortcuts for all of those commandlets. You don't believe me, do you? Yeah, here, watch. Get mailbox. Aha, see, see, get mailbox statistics. Let's do an identity, identity on administrator, administrator. I still can't spell it. I'm sounding it out and I can't. Would you help me with this, please? I think maybe you should type in at the keyboard. Administrator, there we go. See, it all works just great. Now, you don't have, look, ex install. See, you don't have that. Just like we were showing you before, this is kind of like bringing in the snap in. But quite honestly, I don't need that. And I don't use get ex command, remember, because I don't have ex command. But that's okay, because that's not how I discover commandlets. Remember what I was saying is that I discover things because I work with so many different products. Hey, if I want to retrieve information about a mailbox, or if I just wanted to find something about OWA. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Get OWA. I'm going to use get help and use it to discover the commandlets for me. So since I do that anyways, hey, I'm good. Do you realize what I'm doing right now? I'm sitting on a Windows 8 box. I ran 2 lines. Here, let me show you. I'm going to bring them back up. I'm going to show it to you. I did that line and... Okay, wait a minute. There it is. Those 2 lines, and I can now manage my entire Exchange environment. Seriously? Seriously. So how do I better do this so I don't have to type it in? And by the way, I also want to be able to, do this with the ISE, right? Because I want to be able to use it in the ISE. Well, one of the things you can do, and I did this real quick, is you can make a script. Now, I just put those 2 lines into a script. And I'm just going to show you. I call this get ex with no tools, just because I don't have any of the local tools installed. And let me just show you the same thing that I just did, right? Yeah. So here's what I could do. I could use this a couple of different ways. So I could say, okay, and let me close this so you know I'm not cheating, because now watch, what's going to happen is as soon as I close this, that connection is destroyed. I don't have those commandlets anymore. So I'd have to redo this. As a matter of fact, here, look, get mailbox. See, it's not going to work. Okay, so let me go back here. What I could do then is I could be sitting at my desk and go, hey, look, I want to manage Exchange. Okay, so I'll go into CD scripts and I'll run the no tools script. I'll run it. Watch, it'll go through and it'll run it. Now it takes it a few seconds, right? Because it's got an implicit. And now I can start managing Exchange. Well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing it that way. Here's what you'll see a lot of folks do, and there's a good side to this and a bad side to this. You have a PowerShell profile, right? That every time you open up the console, it will run your profile for you, where you could put things in it like your own aliases and your own functions, and well, you could put these commands in it. So let me give you an example here. $profile. That's where my profile is located. I'm going to do test item to see if it exists. $profile. And ooh, what was I doing? I did test item. It's test path. Wait a minute. I can't even type. Okay, so here we go. Test path. That's what I wanted. Test item. Yeah, profile. So it's telling me false. In other words, that profile doesn't exist. So I'm going to create a brand new profile. And I wanted to show you this from scratch. I'm actually going to modify this profile quite a bit. So new item, that's why I was thinking a test item. I want to create a profile, and item type is file. And if there was one there, I could say force, and that would overwrite it. So it created it. Now I want to modify this profile out there. Now you could use Notepad, but that would be insane. So I'm going to use the ISE $profile. And here's the first thing I'm going to do. Set location, C:\\. I hate typing CD / all the time. So now the next thing I can do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to open up that script I had made, right? And I'm going to copy these lines. And I'm going to just go like this. I'm going to go over to the profile. I'm going to put them here in my profile. You see a lot of people do this. You see this on the intertubes a lot. Oh, and by the way, you know, this scrolly thing, having to scroll, if you want, you know PowerShell, you can put in a backtick and bring this down so that you can see it all in one line, that line continuation character right there. I don't like to use that little backtick, especially in videos, because you can't see it. And so I'm just going to leave it as one line, but you get the idea. Anyways, I've got this in here, and you see a lot of people do this. Here's why I don't like this. Let me save this, and let me show you. I'm going to get out of the ISE, and I'm going to close my profile. And now let me launch a profile. Let me just launch PowerShell. You know, I got to do something. I need to check on my domain controller. That's what I want, is I want to get a list of computers from my domain controller. Has nothing to do with Exchange. Watch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting off the seconds, right? Look how long it's taking for my shell to now load. All I wanted to do was do a get AD computer. Oh, and by the way, on my Windows 8 box, I have the RSAT tools. I always have the RSAT tools. I didn't have to have them. I could have implicitly remoted the Active Directory. Yes, I could. I could have implicitly remoted the Active Directory ones. But all I wanted to do was execute this, but no, I had to wait for all of the Exchange commandlets to load because it was in my profile. Well, here's what I prefer to do. So let's go back in and modify that profile. I either like to leave it as a separate script that I could just launch when I want to manage Exchange, or here's another option that you can do. Some people like this, some people don't. In my profile, I'm going to make a function, and I'm going to call it get, what do you want to call it? What do you want to call it? You know, I usually call it get ex command. Now you're saying to yourself, but wait a minute, the Exchange team uses that. Yeah, but I don't have those tools installed locally. So to me, and I also, this is something Exchange team usually doesn't do, but I like to preference my nouns with what they are supposed to do. So get ex command to me literally means get me the commands. Open squiggly. And then down here, close squiggly, and I'm going to indent these so that all of my friends that do PowerShell will love me. They probably still won't, but that's okay. That's okay. Indent. And so now I've made a nice little function. I don't need to make it any more complicated than this. You know, if you wanted to make it an advanced function and give it parameters like what server you wanted to connect to, that kind of thing, you certainly could, but I'm going to keep it nice and simple. So I'm going to save this, and now watch. So I'm going to go out here. Close this shell, open this up. Look how fast my shell came up. Oh, I'm so excited. And I could be doing work. Yeah, I know, it's all going to fail now, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, and then when I need it, get ex command. Now it'll go through and implicitly remote those commands when I want them. And now I can start using things like get mailbox, right? And get mailbox. And my life is good. So I like doing this, and let me bring this back up for you. By the way, look, ISE. Let me. You can execute the scripts. The ISE also has a profile that you can put this into, so you can do the same thing for the ISE. Oh, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring that profile. I wanted to bring that profile back up so you could see it again. ISE $profile. So I just made it a function and put those commands into here. Now let me just tell you right now why I prefer doing this over everything that I've shown you this entire video. First of all, we are going to use the GUI, no doubt about it. Well, the Exchange Administrative Center, right? So that's we're definitely going to use that. When it comes to the PowerShell tools, yes, in this course you'll see me use the Exchange Management Console. However, in real life, I usually never have those tools installed. I almost always am doing it this way. And this is going to come into big help throughout this course when we start to work with stuff like Exchange Online. Because we're going to need to have access to Azure Active Directory, which is going to require some commandlets. We're also going to need access to the commandlets from Exchange Online, and we're going to use it's a very, very similar way of doing it. We're going to do almost the same thing in the profile. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it a function in the profile so I can get my local commandlets, I can get my Exchange Online commandlets, everything that I need. As a matter of fact, I would add probably something in here for Active Directory commandlets, and I have a tendency, I have to manage a lot of System Center stuff, so I'm going to have my VMM stuff in here that I can call up whenever I need to call them up. So I really like this process. Well, you know what? Let's take a review of what we've done. So here's what we did. We spent quite a bit of time taking a look at all of the PowerShell stuff that we can do. And really, that's kind of what the focus of this video was. The reason is this. You need to have the right tools. Well, PowerShell is definitely one of the right tools for managing Exchange. You've been working with Exchange, you already know this. You know that there's stuff that you can't do through the graphical, that you can only do through and if you're going to automate stuff, you got to do it through PowerShell. But what a lot of people don't know is what all their options are. There's more than just the Exchange Management Console. And a lot of times I want to have the functionality of the EMC in a scripting editor like the ISE. Well, that's when we got to see that remote Exchange. Oh, what was it? Exchange, that PS1. I can't even remember what it said. Yeah, it was remote Exchange. I can't believe I can't. Remote, I'm going to write it because you need to see it. Exchange PS1 under the bin folder where the Exchange tools are installed. PS1. This is a module that you load. So it's import module, and you can bring this up and then you do the connect to the Exchange server, and in your scripting environment you now have the same stuff. That's really what that's good for. But you can also use it in a regular PowerShell console. The other thing is that most of the time when I'm managing products, I don't have their particular tools installed. I just don't. So I'm going to want to do it by implicit remoting. This is my favorite way to do it. It's the way I do almost everything, implicit. I don't know if I spelled that right, but that's okay. If you've seen me in other videos, you know spelling's not my finer points. Implicit remoting, and this is how I do everything. You can put it into a script. You can put it into your profile. I don't usually like that unless it's in a function that I can call whenever I want. And of course, we're going to be using the Exchange Admin Center. So we've got the right tools. Now, knowing how to use them, here's the hard part for the rest of the course. The Exchange Admin Center is not a problem. I got that. You got that. We're all good with that. We'll go through that. It's not a big deal. It's the PowerShell part. We're going to start doing, we'll be doing stuff with pipelines and doing for eaches, and because I need to find individual pieces of information and look things up through PowerShell. So you need to be pretty comfortable with using PowerShell. So do me a favor about knowing how to use it. Make sure if you're not fully comfortable with it, it's worth taking a few minutes. Check out the Don Jones stuff. And one other thing, make sure you're good with the concepts and the basics of Exchange. Greg Shields, and I should put him up here. Greg Shields has a great, Shields, and he's going to be very upset if I misspell his last name. But you know, it's one of these things where I do such a lousy job. Shields. I'm just kidding, Greg. If you happen to watch this. Check out the Greg Shields videos on the Exchange, and I'm not going to call them basic. They actually start at the beginning, but it goes through the deployment, the setup, all of that stuff for Exchange. Make sure you're pretty comfortable with Exchange, because starting in the next video, now we're starting the advanced stuff, and we're going to deep dive into a lot of topics, a lot of topics that really are going to help you tremendously with your Exchange environment, both on premises and in the cloud. So, I hope this video has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.